Hey folks, it's me, Michael Bach, your diversity dude, and this is Monday Morning Musings. So, happy pandemic. I hope that you are watching this safe at home, isolated from the world, that you have lots of supplies, but that you have not been hoarding toilet paper and hand sanitizer, because that's just weird, gross behavior. Because these are pretty wild times. And I've been talking a lot about the impacts on mental health and self-isolation. And I want to talk about something different today. I've been paying a lot of attention to people who are flagrantly ignoring the direction to self-isolate and how they're just sort of like, they're just not paying any attention. Like those kids who are down in Florida for spring break, and they weren't going to let that pandemic get in the way of their partying, because that seems logical. Let's hope they don't procreate. But something came to me. Someone approached me online and had a really interesting short story to share. So I thought I'd do something different for today's Monday Morning Musing, and I'm going to do an interview, just like a hard-hitting Barbara Walters. I don't know, whatever. This person that I'm going to talk to, we talked on the phone. They work in a call center, and the call center is still operational. It's a closed environment. And how it seems to be inadvertently affecting people of color and specifically newcomers. So just so you're aware, I have altered this person's voice for their protection. But it's such an interesting story, I really wanted to share it with you. So here's my conversation with that person. So tell me about your current work situation. So what do you do and who do you work with?
Okay, I'm currently working in a call center. It's outsourced. And we provide customer service and sales support to telecom clients.
Got it. Okay, so outbound call center. And can you just describe the physical environment? Like, what does it look like? Is it a big room, a small room?
Oh, it's pretty big. It's fully equipped with the basic the basic call center equipment, the systems, and typically houses maybe about 70 people per floor, and we have about 3 floors.
Okay, so that's, a couple hundred people. Are you, who do you work with? Is it a lot of people of color? That's the question I'm trying to get to.
Oh, okay, yeah, so it's mostly diversified in terms of the people and where they're from. It's mostly minorities rather, Haitians, Africans, and Latin Americans.
Okay, so you've got a lot of people from different ethnocultural groups.
Yes.
What has been, and the call center is still open, is it?
It is.
Right. So what's been communicated to you and your colleagues around COVID-19? Okay,
so we've had sessions with supervisors and managers on the situation, and they've told us the preventive steps they're taking to ensure that we are safe at work. We've been told that we have to stay on our assigned desk, minimize contact. They've provided sanitary items, sanitizers, wipes, hand wash liquids, and things like that. They've doubled up the cleaning services provided by third parties, so like they clean every hour. And they also have brought in this, there is the possible discussion of remote working, but nothing has been fully decided on that. So it's like a possibility that it might be something to be explored, but for now, it's still business as usual.
And how far apart would you be from a coworker? Like a desk to desk? Are you 6 feet apart, or is it less than that?
Seating arrangement at work is more like the cubicle setup. So right next to me, there's someone. I'm sure it's just like a meter apart.
Right. So they're not the they're not socially isolating and social distancing. It's, they're giving you hand wipes, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but there isn't so much of a social distancing in terms of people being so restricted and keeping safe distance from every other person.
And how is that affecting your ability to do your job?
In terms of the job itself, I get by with that, but of course there is the concern at the back of my mind. I know there are regulations and policies around gatherings of more than 50 people. And for the fact that we have quite a high population, I wonder if that measure being put in place will be enough. Since we have more than 50 people at any time in the office. And psychologically, it's worrying because I don't know who the person is next to me. I don't know where they're from. I don't know where they go to at the end of the day, who they interact with. And I just try my best to stay where I am, do my job. But it's sometimes a big concern at the back of my mind. The fact that I know that there's something out there and it's real, and I don't believe that currently right now this may be the most ideal arrangement for work.
What do you think might be different if the call center was predominantly staffed by white people versus people of color?
For one, I personally feel there will be more attention to upholding all the guidelines that have been put in place by government and health institutions regarding the COVID-19 outbreak. I believe there would have been a more targeted effort to introduce remote working. But I think the general mindset right now that prevails is it's a setup where a lot of people who are there are people just new in Canada and who are looking for something to do to get by. So it gives off the feeling like we pretty much have no option. And we are probably, let me use the word, disadvantaged in that space, that we don't have a voice because they know we are not full Canadian citizens yet. We're just new in the country and we are looking for opportunities to earn a living. So I believe if the dynamics were different and if it was predominantly Canadians, there would be more attention to the way work is structured right now.
So this is a survival job for you, and you don't really have a choice, do you?
Exactly, and I think it's for pretty much everybody right there in the call center, because between you and me, we call it purgatory. It's something we are doing to hold on to as a means of survival while we pursue the bigger picture of whatever we want to do with our career and with our lives. The nature of the work itself and the nature of the way the organization itself goes about sourcing people is actually looking for people who are not Canadian.
They're specifically recruiting newcomers.
Yeah, exactly. Recruiting newcomers and getting them settled in. And then, it's a call center anyway, so it's very, the attrition rate is very high. People coming, people going really fast.
Yeah. So what would you like to see happen now?
What I would like to see and what I hope would be maybe an outcome from this intervention is a fairer treatment in terms of minorities in the workplace, especially in call centers, people like me who are here, who deserve more attention in terms of our safety at work. We feel we don't have that voice or that power to even approach management. I mean, they tell you the doors are open, come speak, but we know what happens when you speak. We feel disadvantaged in that space, and I think one thing that would be a good outcome from this is if there's more focus in providing a safer, more conducive, more focus on our welfare at work. The word of mouth about, we value your well-being, we're concerned about your well-being, but the actions don't match the words. Nobody's asking to stay at home and be paid. We are only asking that we are giving an alternative means of working remotely.
Well, I really appreciate you telling me and sharing your story, and I really hope you stay safe and healthy and do everything you can to not get sick.
Yeah, I thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation.
So there you have it. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not an investigative journalist. I had one conversation with one person working for one employer. I'm not saying that there's some grand conspiracy going on here. This is more food for thought than anything. there is so much to unpack in that conversation, but the video is long enough, so I'm just going to leave it for you to consider, and certainly would welcome your comments down below. I just think there shouldn't be exceptions in situations like that. There are so many things in this pandemic that I hadn't considered, things I'm going to talk about in coming weeks as we continue to be isolated. But to think that there's people living in the margins being taken advantage of potentially because they don't have options. They don't have anywhere to turn to. And this employer may know that. So they're not prioritizing their health over their business. I hope their employer is watching. I hope that they immediately prioritize work from home. My whole team is working from home, has been for a couple of weeks. It can be done. It's pretty simple. We are still functioning fully. It's not that big a challenge, but just remember, there's only one race. It's the human race, and we need to treat each other with respect, particularly at a time like this. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please remember to subscribe and like the video, as well as leave comments down below. Remember to connect with me on social media. I'm at DiversityDudeMB, and connect with CCDI. They are at CCDI Social. Also, don't miss out on the latest episode of Talking to Canadians, available now wherever you get your podcasts, as well as at TalkingToCanadians.ca. I sit down with Senator Simons. She's a senator from Alberta, recently appointed. Fascinating conversation about Canada's Senate. So check it out. You've got some time on your hands. Why not listen to a podcast? That's it. I hope you are all warm and safe and isolated as much as you can. Physically isolated, not mentally. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Monday Morning Musings. Bye.